Hey, how you going?
Oh, good.
Mate, we're doing some gluing today. This is resin. We've mixed in a whole bucket of resin and we put a little pinch of black colour tint that I beautifully got from Bunnings. And we've also put in some crushed up actual red gum. So there's a slight bead of red in it. And what we're doing, we're basically getting ready on, there's half a chance I'm going to be able to take this away with me to Perth and give it a new home. But the only way you can do that is to have it done. So what we're doing is we're just preparing this ready for tomorrow, that maybe if I get a chance, I can actually work on it. So what we're doing is we've made a big bucket of, this is resin, 2-pack resin, Feast and Watson product. And what I'm doing, using the syringe, I'm forcing it way down into the crack. So you don't have to wait quite as long for it to get full. You know, I could just pour it. The other way to do it is just pour it, which you just, you know, like that.
Oh.
And then once you're doing it like that, that's a different way of doing it. You get your big old screed and you just push it in. And you let it work all the cracks. The reason that I generally don't do this is because it also hardens the wood, which means when it comes time to sanding, it gets quite a difficult thing. But as you can see, it makes it nice and easy. So that's the two different techniques that I use. This one here, you'll see it just starts drinking it up, all the cracks are taking it up. And before you know it, the whole lot will disappear. It's quite amazing. 1 minute you got a swimming pool, next minute you got a dry well. Oh, this end's going to use it up big time. The big split in the middle of this goes right the way through. There's all silver tape underneath to make sure that that it doesn't drip everywhere, because I only want it on the actual table. But you can see where all of a sudden that's starting to fill up there. So now we come down here and it literally, you can see it just filling up all those cracks like that. Bring it up, put it right on the crack that's left, because that'll start to drink that pretty quick. More here. So this is basically how you get all your resin into all your cracks, and then by the time it sits for 10-12 hours, and yeah, you do, resin will dry in a couple of hours, but if you're going to do something like this, do it like the day before, because the longer it dries for, the better the finish you can get out of the end product. And you know, at the end of the day, if you're going to spend time doing something, then you might as well bloody get it done right the first time. And you can see it's slowly just completely disappearing. Some of these cracks down here are still drinking. Can I have a little bit more? Yep, we'll give him a little bit more. So the other thing too, when you're using resin is expensive. Don't want to waste resin. Resin is very much like gold. So what I generally do is I always have another project ready to go that needs resin. Therefore, when you've got stuff left over, you've got somewhere to put it. Don't waste your money. Do multiple projects. When you're waiting for one, you can be working on another, and vice versa. Anyway, this is what we're up to. Don't know what you're up to, but it's a beautiful day here down in Albany. Les is about to start having some fun. He's the cameraman at the moment. But you can see now, like with all that resin that I poured, it's getting down to nothing. And that's because as I'm standing here talking to you, it's going further and further down into all the cracks. And what we did on the other side was we put silver tape. And that's to stop all the resin coming through.
Actually, I don't know whether I got you then.
Cool.
Oh, up there.
Cool. So yeah, there's the silver tape. And you can see all the holes are still needing plenty of resin, so we just pour a bit more. Drink, my friend, drink. And by the time we go to work on this tomorrow, it'll be fully glued, sorted, and whoop,
Over flooded.
over flooded, but ready to do. That's looking really good. And if you think you got a bit too much, just pour a bit back into the jug. That's always easy too. And you just straight in. Straight in.
So what do you do with the rest?
Well, that's where your second project always comes in handy.
And how long will that stay set?
This stays usable for probably about 25-30 minutes, depending on how much hardener you've used. So I'm going to let that just sit there now because there's obviously plenty there, so I'll let it drink up a little bit until I come back. Come for a wander. Right, there was a set of legs here somewhere. There it is, right there. So that can take a little bit. So we can just put a little bit down in there. Just very slowly let it go down in. There we go. And a bit more. This is a set of what I call bush art table legs. They're rough and ready, but they work. There we go, that's full now. So that's one project ready. And then we had this one sitting. So we can now do this. Fill the bugger up. And we'll sand it all off the excess later. Because I actually want it in the grain. I want it up and in there. Whee! Bit splashy. It's alright, it's art, it's fun. It's supposed to be splashy and fun. So, a bit more in from the back. Wipe over. So that'll sit nice. Cool. Trick is make sure you don't glue it to the slab of stone it's sitting on. Material's fine, you can always grind that off. But the slab of stone gets a little bit trickier. And what you can even do, you can put a little bit on there, so it's on the spatula.
Oh, sorry.
And feed it in that way. So that's the next one. And then as it turns out, we still have a bit of resin left over. This is all pretty much okay for now. It's got enough in there. Could use a little bit here. Just to fill up that. The idea is I want this to go glass hard all over it, and then apart from a little light sand later on, with like an 800 or 1200 grit, it'll actually be, it'll set like glass on the outside, so it'll be really, really hard and shiny and look buff, as they call it in the technical terms. Cool. All right, catch you later.
What do I do now?
Just